Jacob Willoughby. I'm still a Vice President of Research at Red Cloud Securities, as well as an analyst. I'm very pleased to be hosting this company that we're having now, which is Monarca Minerals. We have with us Carlos Espinosa and Michael Smith, and I'll pass over to you guys now to tell us about the company. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jacob. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining us this afternoon. I'm Carlos Espinosa. I'm President and CEO of Monarca Minerals. I'm excited to spend some time with you talking about our projects in Mexico. Due to the short time we have to present, I want to go quickly on the few slides that we have. Just a small pause here to mention we have 3 assets in Mexico, 2 in the state of Durango and 1 in the state of Chihuahua. Gold and silver assets, very promising. We have a great assets there, and we are having a drilling program for one of those. And I'm not going in much detail because today Mike Smith, who is our Executive VP of Exploration and QP, is joining us on the call. And he's going to do the real technical presentation. I'm just taking a couple of minutes to introduce you. I'm going to flip this capital structure. I'm sure you're going to have access to the presentation, and we can have any future Q&A to solve any question you have. But I prefer to pass the mic at this point to Michael and let him to tell you about our story and our projects in Mexico. Thank you.
Thank you, Carlos. Thank you, everybody, for joining our presentation here. As Carlos alluded to, we have 2 projects in Mexico that are located in the state of Durango. They are projects that have been in the portfolio for a number of years. We have the Tejamen Project, which is about a 2-hour drive from Durango City, where we have a resource of almost 29 million ounces at 45 grams per ton. The drilling that was done in 2004 to 2007 was focusing on surface heap leach open pitable style mineralization, and what we have realized is that there are high-grade feeder veins that we want to follow up on, so we hope to get in quickly and advance that project through drilling. The San Lucas project is very close to the Tejamen project. It's located about an hour north of Durango City. Importantly, it's very close to Argonaut Gold's San Agustin complex, where mine construction is present. We can stand on the outcrop at San Lucas and see the project about 4 kilometers to the north of us. The San Jose project is a new project in the portfolio. It's something that was put together in the last 2 or 3 years. It's approximately 6,000 hectare property in the state of Chihuahua, very close to the border with New Mexico. It's only about 30 kilometers south of the New Mexico border. It's in a very safe and easy place to work in Mexico, and it's very conveniently located. It's located about a 2-hour drive west of El Paso, Texas, or Juarez, Mexico, so it's easy to get to, as all of our properties have good access into the areas. None of our projects are in very steep mountainous terrain, so we don't have to deal with those sorts of conditions. Next slide, please. The San Jose project, as I mentioned, is located very close to the border with New Mexico. Also, it's very close to Peñolos's Bismarck mine. It's about 50 kilometers to the southeast of us. It's a mine that has been in operation at a rate of 2,500 tons per day since the 1990s. We entered into an agreement to acquire the San Jose property directly from the owners for a total cost of $150,000 for 100% interest. There is a 2% NSR with the property that at a later date, if we choose to, we can buy half of that for $100,000. So it's a very low cost entry into acquiring that asset. The mineralization in San Jose is associated with skarns that express themselves at the surface, and very importantly, the skarn mineralization is associated with 3 different phases, with a multi-phase intrusive complex, the latter phase being diorites, which has produced the mineralization that we see in the area. Historically, there are basically no significant production on the property. There are a couple of short shafts and some surface scratchings, and no drilling has ever been done on the property. So we did surface mapping over about a 3-kilometer strike length of the main area, the obvious area of mineralization where the old mining activities were conducted, and decided to do a geophysical survey, which produced magnificent results, which is the focus of our drilling program to come later on this year. Next slide, please. The San Jose project is, as I mentioned, very close to the Bismarck mine. We see lots of analogy between the mineralization in San Jose to what was occurring at the Bismarck mine. We don't obviously have exactly what you see in the cross-section, but it's an exploration model for us. And what's important to see there is the significant mineralization, which the original resource is 12.8 million tons at 52 grams silver and 11% zinc. That's about 350 gram per ton silver equivalent, but it is primarily a zinc producer with a significant silver credit. And it manifested at the surface with very thin areas of mineralization, very much like what we see at San Jose. In the 90s, Peñoles did a geophysical program. They did MAG and IP, discovered significant anomalies, and drilled out the resource that I referred to. So we see a lot of analog compared to the Bismarck mine and what we see at San Jose. The difference is at San Jose, we see much higher silver and gold grades at the surface as compared to the Bismarck mine. So what we see at the surface, I think, is leakage of something fairly large at depth. And a subsequent slide will show you the IP work, which indicates sulfide mineralization at depth. And the magnetic anomaly is also associated with the IP anomaly on our property. We do have, as I said, multi-phase intrusive rocks. The latest phase are diorite dikes, which are striking northeasterly, and it's produced endoskarn, exoskarn, jasperoids, some fairly significant mineralization over a 3-kilometer strike length at the surface. Next slide, please. And so this slide shows our land position on the right. It's a large concession block approaching 6,000 hectares. The area where the oval is where we did our IP, our geophysical work, which is the obvious mineralization expressed at the surface. We did initially, before the geophysics, 167 chip channel samples at surface, and we got grades up to 9.5 grams per ton gold. That was in about a 2-meter thick garnet skarn vein. Silver grades up to 250 grams per ton, and base metal grades. The geophysics is critical to what we have at the San Jose project. In the lower left-hand corner, you see an aerial view image of the IP work. The red and pink areas are very strong IP anomalies indicating sulfides, we believe, at depth, and that constitutes our main drilling. We expect to go in and drill about 10,000 meters of drilling in an initial pass over the 3-kilometer strike length of the IP anomaly, which extends off of the survey area to the southeast. So there's more mineralization to the south, but we haven't got any geophysics to fully understand it. The slide to the right of that, the magnetics, clearly shows 2 areas with significant magnetic anomalies. One is larger to the southwest. We believe that's a buried intrusive. That's where we have at the surface northeast striking diorite dikes, and a smaller mag anomaly to the north. And if you compare the magnetic signatures with the IP work, you can see the classic case, which is very typical in many systems like this, of indications of an mineralizing intrusive, and then surrounding and above those mineralizing intrusives is mineralization which expresses as a strong IP anomaly, which we believe is significant sulfides. Again, one of the critical things we see here is we see significant gold and silver grades, so I suspect we're going to have very strong silver mineralization as well as gold mineralization associated with what I believe are skarns and carbonate replacement deposits at depth. And in fact, the southern magnetic anomaly could be a buried porphyry system with the hydrous retrograde alteration overprinting the mineralization in the area. It's a classic signature of porphyry-related mineralization. Next slide, please. The Tejamen Project, as I mentioned, is the only project where we have a resource. We have 20 million tons at 45 grams per ton for a total resource of just under 29 million ounces. It's 100% owned property. It's very convenient. It's easy to get to. There's a lot of infrastructure in the area. And the mineralization is open at depth in both the Los Mantos portion and the Cerro Prieto portion of the deposit. And if we go to the next slide, we can see the kind of mineralization and the drilling that was done. We have high-grade feeder veins, as I mentioned, and that's what we're going to be focusing on in the near term. Los Mantos is the southern portion. You can see the drilling pattern, the drill holes that were done. The deposit is open to the south and to the east. and at depth in the high-grade feeder veins, which strike northeasterly through Los Mantos. The Cerro Prieto project, a portion of the project is a northeasterly striking high-grade feeder vein with significant assays. And you can see some of the assays in the lower left-hand side of this slide, where this is the drilling that was done between 2004 and 2007. And the mineralization is very high grade in places, but very importantly, the mineralization that was drilled was all shallow. They were looking at open pit potential for lower grade mineralization. The mineralization that we see at the Tejamen Project is very similar to Coeur's Rochester mine in central Nevada, where they are doing open pit mining and heap leaching with an average grade going to the pad of about 22 grams per ton. So we're seeing grades in Tejamen of almost double that. But we do want to focus on the high-grade feeder veins where we have grades up to almost 1,500 parts per million silver with 5% combined lead zinc. There are several high-grade feeder veins that have been drilled in Los Mantos, and we also see the same thing in Cerro Prieto. So as soon as we can get in there, we'll start doing additional drilling in the area to confirm the high-grade feeder veins. Also, the metallurgy was very favorable that was tested. Again, this work was focused on heap leaching of the lower grade material, and we see recoveries between about 50 and 70% historically on the test work that was done. So if we can work things out there, and we could end up with something that would be open pittable and heap leachable, but we are focused on the high-grade feeder veins at this point. All of the mineralization is in volcanics, and we suspect that what we could have is where those high-grade feeder veins come up to the base of the volcanic section, we could have significant ponding effects and manto-like deposits at the base of the volcanic section. Next slide, please. The San Lucas project is located very conveniently from Durango City, only about an hour and 15 minutes to the north. As I mentioned, it's very close to Argonaut Gold's San Agustin project that is under construction. And we have an area of mineralization with northeast trending shear zones. The land package that we have there is a bit chopped up, but we have access to being able to deal with the sole owner of surrounding concessions who has expressed interest in doing a deal to expand our land position there. In the meantime, we did do an initial sampling program at the surface where we took chip channel samples at surface, and we got some very good assay results based on that. We got gold grades up to 110 grams per ton gold at the surface, along with 168 gram per ton silver. Of the 89 samples that we took, the average gold grade, exclusive of the very high grade gold value, was 3.2 grams per ton. So we see significant potential there to do additional drilling. The best drill hole we have in the concession package that we have right now is a drill assay interval of 2 meters of 147 grams per ton with 1.7% zinc. And very much like Tejamen, it's basically a high angle vein system of shear zones that are mineralized. And we see carbonates only about a kilometer to the south of where this drilling was done. So where those veins intersect that carbonate minerals, the carbonates could be significant skarn and manto style mineralization. And just like Tejamen, all the drilling was done less than 200 meters. So we want to follow up with deeper drilling and see what those veins do as they intersect the base of the volcanics and the carbonates below us. And at this point, I'll hand the presentation over back to Espinosa, and we'll go from there, and then we'll have time for some questions.
Thank you very much, Mike. On this slide, we just want to share with you the value of Monarca compared to other companies, exploration companies that are working in the Americas. And you will see we are at the very bottom of the list of those companies. And the reason behind this is basically because we have been working behind the scenes in Mexico, acquiring properties, fixing some issues that we had in the past or the company had in the past. And now we are moving to the next phase. Last year we acquired San Jose, and we did the samples, we did the geophysics, and now we are moving to the drilling program. Part of the strategy is to raise money, so we are closing a product placement for about $3 million. We initially announced it for $2 million, and we upsized to $3 million because we had a great response from the market. And actually, we need to update this slide very, very soon because we calculate this slide on the share price on 5 cents. Today is trading at 12. So we really need to move a little bit to the left. But we see a lot of potential to move way farther to the left on this slide. So why investor could be interested in investing in Monarca? Some of the three top reasons are: we have a great assets in Mexico, in Durango and Chihuahua. We have a program for start drilling in Chihuahua, in San Jose, really soon. We don't have any kind of issue on environmental or community or anything else. It's a great project, so it's going to be really quick, this drilling program, and we are expecting great results. And currently still very undervalued company. So I'm going to stop here and still probably have 4 minutes or something like that for a few questions. So I open the floor and happy to answer any question or ask Mike to answer the questions.
Excellent. Thank you both. Maybe we'll just start by covering off the financing. So when approximately would you expect that financing to close?
Fairly soon. We announced it should be closed on the 20th of August, but as far as I know, it's already full. So it's we had a great response from the market. So it's I think it's just in a few days, really.
Great. I'm sure the exchange is a little bit busy, but hopefully they won't hold you up.
Yeah.
When do you hope to be able to get drills to Tejamen?
Yeah, probably Mike, you can better answer that question.
Yeah, I did some permitting in Chihuahua for another drilling program for another company about 2 years ago. It took 2 to 3 months to get the environmental permitting in. It's a very simple and straightforward process, and we can expedite it because we have utilized a consultant in the past, which used to work in the state government of Chihuahua. So we're looking at 2 or 3 months for permitting and then organizing the logistics and getting drilling in. I would think that we should be able to start drilling in November, December.
Okay. And in the meantime, while the permitting is ongoing, what is some of the work that you can get started on?
I think that, one thing that we want to do some additional follow-up work on is in San Jose, we want to explore the larger portion of the concession to the southeast. We do see some areas of mineralization from a distance. I don't see any old mines in the area, but the alteration continues off the survey grid. So we want to do some work to the south and see if we can justify doing additional geophysics and get some mapping in and understand the extent of the system, because it goes beyond the area of the geophysical grid. Another thing that we can do is develop the drilling plan in more detail for both San Lucas and Tejamen. We recently re-logged all of the drill trips, and so we have data for putting together a picture, cross sections and so forth of drilling in both of those properties.
Excellent. I know we talked about San Lucas as an interesting project, but hopefully there's a chance to maybe add some ground around that current property.
Yeah, it's important to enhance that concession package, and maybe Carlos can address it. He's been in recent contact with the owner of those concessions.
Absolutely. Yeah, Monarca Minerals used to be part of another company that split way probably 10, 15 years ago. And Monarca kept the silver assets, the other company kept the gold assets. The other company is a failure company, so we are now talking with them to acquire a good package of land surround our properties that has a really good potential, are just next to our concessions. So the plan really is to increase the land package in San Lucas and then continue working on the exploration program for a larger asset that could be also more interesting for another mining company in Mexico as well.
Excellent. And are you seeing new potential opportunities in Mexico as well?
I think that's something I'd like to address, Carlos, because one of the things I want to mention is we have an excellent team of people who are seasoned in Mexico. We have the country manager, Carlos Pacheco, and he is always coming up with additional potential assets to acquire in Mexico. He's a Mexican geologist with about 30 years of experience. And so he and I have looked at a lot of properties, and that's how we found San Jose. It was kind of, one of these things. thought it looked interesting. I went and looked at it. I was impressed. It was a much bigger system than anybody was giving it justice for. And so we'll continue to do that and look at additional acquisition opportunities in Mexico.
Excellent. Thank you very much. That's our time for today. We're very excited and very happy you're able to join us today.